couple of weeks ago, I decided to surprise my wife with a kid-free night out. I arranged for the kids to stay with my parents, who live about an hour and a half away, for the weekend. Normally, when I visit my parents, I spend the whole day there and don't get home until dinner. This time, I dropped the kids off and headed straight home, eager to surprise my wife. I had made reservations at a nice restaurant and planned to stop at a few bars for drinks before dinner. I left at 8:30 p.m. and was back in our neighborhood before 12:30 a.m. As I pulled onto our street, I noticed a truck parked in front of our house. I didn't recognize it, but I assumed it belonged to a neighbor or a visitor. It wasn't unusual. I parked a few houses down, planning to sneak in through the basement door and surprise my wife, rather than going through the garage. Once inside, I tried to be as quiet as possible. Then, I heard sounds from the floor above. At first I thought she might be alone, maybe having some personal time. I considered backing out to the garage so I wouldn't interrupt her. Then, I heard a man's voice. My stomach dropped. My heart felt like it was going to explode. I can't fully describe the mixture of shock, betrayal, and disbelief I felt in that moment. I moved cautiously upstairs, not to confront them, but just to understand what was happening. The door to the living room was partially open. The kitchen was empty, but the sounds confirmed my worst fears. I couldn't see them directly without being noticed. I pulled out my phone and discreetly positioned it around the corner. What I saw made me feel hollow. I started recording, feeling I needed a record for myself, though I had no idea what I would do with it. I stood frozen, paralyzed, watching everything unfold on the screen. After several minutes, she and the man went upstairs, making casual comments that only worsened my sense of betrayal. I found the man's belongings in the living room, his pants and wallet, and took photos of his driver's license. I didn't know him, and I still have no idea how my wife knew him. I left the house the way I came in and sat in my car, overwhelmed with emotion. I watched the video repeatedly, trying to process the reality of what I had just witnessed. I couldn't face getting the kids from my parents, so I eventually decided to go back in, pretend I was there to surprise her, and see what would happen. When I entered, she was flustered, in a robe, and asked why I was home. I told her about my plans, and she acted excited, poured wine, and suggested we pregame before getting ready. I barely spoke, too numb to react. I noticed the man sneaking down the stairs, but I did nothing. Just let things continue. Since that night, I've watched the video over and over. I feel trapped in a cycle of shame, anger, and heartbreak. My wife has sensed that something is wrong, asking if I'm okay, but I can't bring myself to address it. Every low point draws me back to that recording. It's become a compulsion, and I feel more helpless with each replay.